Hey, and welcome back to the channel. This is Utility Sports. Today's video, we are covering the Week 17 Pick'em and predictions. This is a monumental week. There's a lot of playoff implications on the line. You don't want to miss out on any more NFL content, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. So the first thing that we're actually going to rattle through here and take a look at is our Pick'em records. Sheldon actually gained 2 games on me this past weekend. He's slowly been climbing back into the race here. It's very possible that he can catch up. He's going to need a little bit of luck on his side the last 2 weeks. Might be tough to make up the 10-game difference, but those are the records that we currently have right now. And the first game that we're going to cover here is the Jets taking on the Browns. Now, a lot of credit to the New York Jets. They've overcome a lot so far this year. It's been tough. It's been tough to be a Jets fan. Watch the quarterback play. You had so many high hopes for Aaron Rodgers heading into the season. It's been a whirlwind. It's been ups. There's been downs. But I think at the end of the day, it's a tough task to go into Cleveland here and get the victory on the road. The Jets have struggled moving the football. Breece Hall has been tremendous so far this season. Last game was one of the big points of how important he is to this offense. He's a phenomenal running back. He's really good out of the backfield catching the football. He's the complete package as an RB. But at the end of the day, you're going up against the toughest defense in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns, an opportunistic offense, making some big plays happen. Joe Flacco has been terrific for them so far this year. I've been impressed what I've seen. It's a Thursday night game, so it's going to be a short week here. But at the end of the day, I think Cleveland's going to get the job done. That's also where Sheldon opted to go. I think we have quite a bit of confidence in this one heading into it. And I think that if you're actually picking here, don't hesitate. Make sure to take the Browns in this one. Looking at the Saturday football here, we have Detroit taking on Dallas. Now, we did have a split. It's kind of tough for me because Dallas has burned me in recent weeks with my picks for them. I keep thinking they're going to turn the corner. They have not been able to do that. I think with the recent stretch that they've been on, it's pretty tough. But at the end of the day, I think when you're looking at it in totality, this is a big matchup in terms of seeding and positioning for the postseason. Detroit has already clinched the division. They're in a good position here. But I think with the Cowboys being at home, they're both still playing for something. But to me, I think it means a little bit more to Dallas getting the victory here. With them being at home, I feel like the pass rush is going to get there. They're going to get after Jared Goff, make things uncomfortable for him. Therefore, having to try to make some plays extending outside the pocket is going to be the major theme in this game. I think the Cowboys actually do take this one. It's been the popular pick to see the Lions as an upset. You've seen it across the board, but at the end of the day, I'm going to stick with my gut here and take the Cowboys at home. Now, sliding over here to the Sunday slate, the first game on the docket here is Miami and Baltimore. Another tough game to pick, because I was so impressed with what I had seen with both teams in recent weeks. Miami's been rolling, Baltimore's been rolling. I think a true testament to this Baltimore defense, obviously they took on San Francisco. Brock Purdy turned over the ball many times in that one, 4 interceptions in total. I think it's, once again, a true testament to this defense, how solid they've been, especially in that front 7, making it difficult to run the football, therefore having to open it up to the passing game, which they are opportunistic on that end. Guys making big-time plays, generating turnovers. I think that's going to be the key to the game here. If Tua can hold on to the football, play some complementary football for their defense, they definitely have a chance, right? But I think at the end of the day, having to go into Baltimore is a tough ask, especially with how great a football they've been playing. It's super tough to just walk in there, expect to win that game. Once again, I think it's possible, 100%. I was back and forth on this one before coming and landing on my final decision of the Baltimore Ravens taking it. Sheldon sees it going the other way. That was probably my hardest pick of the entire week right here, just because I can see Miami absolutely exploding offensively, showing what they can do. But, they're a little bit banged up this week, especially at the receiver position. Maybe they're not going to be 100% in terms of, maybe it's a game time decision, missing practices all week. It definitely has an actual effect in the game. Therefore, I'm going to take the Ravens, a little bit healthier. I think they have a really good chance here to cement themselves as the top team in the AFC this year. Next game I have here is New England taking on Buffalo. This is not one that you have to think a lot about. I think that you can feel pretty comfortable with what you've seen from the Buffalo Bills in recent weeks, their ability to put up points in a hurry. New England's been struggling offensively, just the entire season. Buffalo's defense is going to put up a very tough task here for the New England offense. They're going to have to go ahead and create some explosive, that is not something that New England is accustomed to doing. We've seen it week in, week out. No matter what game it is, they struggle to move the ball. They struggle to create those explosive plays that generate the big time points, momentum shifts. It all loops together, weaves together into the culmination of a bad offense. Their defense has been terrific this year. A lot of credit to Bill Belichick in that defense, but offensively it has absolutely held them back. It's been a struggle. The Bills have kind of found their flow. It took some time. It absolutely took some time for Buffalo to really figure out their true identity once again. But now that they've done it, I think they are major players in the AFC, and I think they're going to be contending for a conference championship when we get to that point in the year. The next game I have, another tough one, Atlanta taking on Chicago. Atlanta surprised a lot of people last week, myself included. I had picked against them. Chicago is another team here where maybe they're starting to piece some things together. They're a little bit more competitive. I think this is a great opportunity for them late in the season here. Probably going to be a cold football game for the Falcons, having to come up, play in that NFC North environment, having to play at Soldier. This is a big opportunity for the Chicago Bears. Now, once again, a lot of people are going to question that. But I think at the end of the day, I'm going to opt for the home team, which has actually not been super conducive for pickem. Atlanta has more to play for. That is just a fact of the matter. They're bidding for a playoff position. You have Chicago, who's doing the absolute opposite. They are not a team that's going to cement themselves as a postseason team. But Atlanta is still very much contending for that division, and they have an opportunity to capitalize on a team in Chicago that has not been very good all year, but they have been really playing better football lately. So to me, I have the Bears narrowly edging out the Falcons. I've been impressed with what the Bears have put together the last couple of weeks in terms of their actual resume. It's gotten better compared to the start of the season. So credit to them. They're trying to turn some things around, but I have Chicago in this one. Following game, Tennessee taking on Houston. Now, the Texans have been banged up, and I think it's really disheartening considering the fact that they had put together such a nice season, to this point. The injuries have started to stockpile with Stroud, Tank Dell, you name it, across the board. They've had major injuries everywhere. And that's, once again, it's tough when you get to this point in the season. It starts to stack up. Sometimes it becomes what teams are healthy, what teams are available, who's got everyone out there, which is not generally a lot of teams. But, Tennessee has struggled mightily this season. It's been incredible to watch. Super unfortunate considering a lot of people had some high hopes for the season and maybe them getting into that AFC contender that they were the previous couple of years. I just don't see them getting the job done here against the Texans, regardless of injury status. I just don't see that being the case here. Once again, Texans are still playing for something. Tennessee is not at this point in the year. Therefore, I see this really working in the Texans' favor. They're going to give it their all, and I have them winning this football game. Following game, I got Vegas taking on Indianapolis, and I think the Indianapolis Colts are as scrappy of a team as they come. I think you might not actually want to see them in the postseason if they're able to get hot here the last two games, because they just find ways to win. They're opportunistic defensively. They create enough on offense in order to really hang with some of the premier teams in the AFC. I don't know. This Indianapolis Colts team was not projected to be a playoff team amongst most analysts, and they have defied all of us, especially the fact of the matter that Gardner Minshew has been their starter basically all season, and he has been impressive. This is why it is so critical to have a backup quarterback of the caliber of a Gardner Minshew, a guy that can start exactly when you need him throughout the course of a season. He's competitive. He's tough. He gets teams to rally behind him. It's exactly what you want. The Colts were geniuses. I think, once again, Vegas has been finding ways to win in games that I was not expecting. Obviously, the Kansas City game is one of the big highlights to that, but there's also been other games this season where they have completely defied what I thought they were, so credit to them. They've played super competitive in those games. But at the end of the day, I think that the Colts are in a great position here to make some playoff headway and try to get to where they want to be. Next one here, we got Carolina taking on Jacksonville. Jacksonville is in a free fall. 4 weeks ago, they were top of the AFC, and now they have come crumbling down. There's a lot of things that you can point to. There's a lot of blame that you can shed across. Trevor Lawrence being hurt has definitely not helped their case. He's not as mobile in the pocket, missing some throws he shouldn't, turning over the football as well. Jacksonville is a tough story for me. I just don't know if I believe in this team, going through in the postseason. Christian Kirk's injury has played a major factor in this as well. You've seen a lot more Parker Washington into those starting lineups. Carolina is another team that is just not competitive. They haven't been competitive all year. I don't know if that's necessarily going to change. That's why I feel so confident here in taking Jacksonville, a team that does not look good. They have not looked good in any capacity. I was surprised by last week and the performance that they put up, how atrocious they were defensively. All of that was a mess. Hopefully they can right some of the wrongs here against a bad Carolina team and get themselves in the right playoff positioning, for later on in the season. 2 weeks to do it, so you got to figure it out quick. Following game, I got the Rams taking on the Giants. The Rams have been one of the better stories this year. Atrocious last year. They did not play well. They were hurt. They looked nothing like their previous selves. But credit to Sean McVay, sticking with the plan, sticking and making some changes on the fly, adapting his offense. You have to give a lot of credit to this offense, more specifically with Nakua and Kupp and Kyron Williams. I've been impressed with the playmakers making those plays here in critical games, critical downs, moving the chains. That has been a great group of skill position guys that have absolutely defied the odds of a lot of people and expectations of the media, especially the mainstream media. So, look at the Rams here. The New York Giants story, that it's been kind of fun. It's been up and down for them so far this year, but at the end of the day, I think the Rams are going to take care of business here, all of a sudden finding themselves in that wild card positioning, knocking Minnesota out, which has been another major storyline that you have to cover later on in the year. But to me, I think the Rams get the job done on the road. I have a lot of confidence in them. This is a late game of the year. They got to be super dialed in, locked in, because this is definitely going to be one of those trap games. New York is not just going to lay over. They have proven that time and time again. Following game, I got Arizona taking on Philadelphia. I think it could be actually a little bit closer than people are anticipating. Philadelphia has played in a ton of close games, regardless of the quality of the opponent. Sometimes people may say they've been playing down to their opponents, which I think is partially true, but also not entirely fair to deem on this team. They win close games. They're tough. They're competitive. They generate turnovers. They can run the football. There's a lot that this team does. They got a multi-pronged approach to it. I've been impressed with the Eagles still this year, regardless of some of the people being down on them. But to me, I think they're going to get the job done here against Arizona. Arizona, once again, is reeling, trying to figure out exactly what they want to do in the future with Kyler Murray and the rest of the playmakers. They have a lot of holes on the defense to fix. So to me, I think Philadelphia is going to get the job done. Following game, New Orleans taking on Tampa Bay, a big storyline heading into the weekend. Tampa Bay is trying to solidify the division, take that over, and this goes a long ways in doing so. Tampa Bay, with the surprise win against Jacksonville last week, was now all of a sudden starting to gain some steam, gain some momentum with Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rachaad White. All of those guys are creating some positions for themselves to be successful in the postseason, running out of play action. All of that factors into making a tough competitive offense, which at this point in the year, they are making the plays that they have to, opening it up downfield at times. New Orleans, once again, I don't have a lot of trust in them, but at the end of the day, they always seem to surprise me at a critical point in the season when I think that they're quote, dead in the water, they start making plays. So maybe that's going to be the case here. But to me, I see Tampa Bay taking this one. Following game, I got the 49ers taking on the Commanders. Now, we look at the San Francisco 49ers. Everyone's going to sound the alarms on Brock Purdy. Not entirely fair. Now, I'm not a a truther on him. I'm not always saying I'm banging my hand on the table for this guy, but at the end of the day, Brock Purdy is not as bad as what the stats look like. There was a couple of unfortunate plays that took place. Sure, I mean, they had an excellent game plan in defending everything short to intermediate for him, forcing him trying to try to make some bigger plays outside of his skill set, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, I think he's a quality quarterback in the league. Is he benefited by the weapons around him? Yes, but I think it was a little overreactionary from what we had seen and not nearly as extravagant as people make it out to be. At the end of the day, though, they have to get the job done. Once again, it could be a trap game against the Commanders. I don't see that being the case here. They're going to get the job done. I have a lot of confidence in this San Francisco team. Should be one of the favorites to win the NFC in total, so that's why I have them in this game. Following one, I got Pittsburgh-Seattle. Not an easy game, in my opinion, because when you look at what Pittsburgh always seems to do at the end of the year, trying to stay above 500, Mike Tomlin just doesn't ever go below 500, and that is going to be the case again this year, I'm sure. Maybe this is the game that they flip the script here. They're a little bit better offensively. George Pickens was, quote, unlocked last week. I think Seattle's still going to get the job done. I think that when you have a complementary team that can run the football and they're getting better through the air, that is going to be a formula for success for the Seahawks team. Following game, we got the Chargers taking on the Broncos. Another critical game in the AFC, playoff hunt. It's tough with Denver. It's just not an easy pathway for them moving forward. They needed that game. I don't know. I think that they have to make some big time plays here in Denver. Russell Wilson's got to cook. The Chargers are out of it. This should be a win. They're bidding for draft positioning. This has to be a Denver win. It can't be. It can't not be, I should say. I think when you consider the playmakers on this team defensively, how they've been able to come together, to try to conclude this season, it's got to be Denver all the way. I wouldn't overthink this. I don't think the Chargers are going to put up too much of a fight. Hopefully somebody clips this later if they win this football game, and then I'll put on an edit on TikTok. But at the end of the day, I do not see that necessarily being the case. Following game, we got Cincinnati and Kansas City, which at the start of the year, a lot of people would have thought was the marquee game of the year, just considering how great Cincinnati's been in recent years, as well as Kansas City. I just don't think we can necessarily hit the panic button on the Chiefs that hard. This is a good football team. They're going to figure out a way. If there's a will, there's a way with this team. Every time that they go on a little bit of a losing stretch, they figure it out, come together, and make it happen. Now, Cincinnati is a team that I don't know if I want to necessarily run into at this point in the year, but all things considering, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to get the job done. Trying to win in Arrowhead is difficult enough, especially late in the year. I see the Kansas City Chiefs taking this one against Cincinnati. I mean, who knows? With how everything's played out injury-wise with Cincinnati, I just don't have that much confidence in them moving forward. A guy like Tyler Boyd's going to have to make some tremendous plays in this game to truly have a chance. And then finally here we have Green Bay taking on Minnesota, probably one of my favorite games of the week. Obviously, being surrounded by the fan base here in Minnesota it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, the ups and the downs of this season, but at the end of the day, I just don't foresee this being a Vikings win. I think they're struggling too much offensively. They're turning over the ball way too much. There's a lot of question marks I have about Kevin O'Connell and his play calling. There's going to be a lot of people that defend him, but at the end of the day, I just don't know if he's putting them in the best position to win. It's tough. When you don't have Kirk Cousins, it's funny, all the fans now realize how important he was to this football team. It truly was. I remember people telling me that, it's good that Josh Dobbs is here. He adds a different element that a guy like Kirk Cousins. It's just so wrong. And I think we realize now how critical he is to this team's success. Taking on Green Bay, and Green Bay once again, bidding for that wild card spot, as are the Vikings. This is super critical in terms of making it go a long ways for them. I think Minnesota has an opportunity here, but ultimately Green Bay's the better football team right now. They're just playing better football. Minnesota has not looked good in recent weeks, and I think that's the main reason for the skid is the turnovers. That has been the theme of the season. Start of the year when they were the first 5 weeks was terrible to watch Vikings football. And then from that point on, it was bearable again, and now it's so tough. With the amount of turnovers, I've not been impressed, but at the end of the day, I think Green Bay is going to get the job done on the road here. It's going to go a long ways in terms of helping decide that NFC wild card positioning. So I just want to say thanks again for stopping by. Had a lot of fun recording this. Hopefully you did enjoy the content. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more Utility Sports Plus content.